Can you guys tell me if there is a echo? How we sounding? How we sounding? How we sounding? Good morning, Ella. I just ate some peanut brittle. This could have been a bad idea. I love peanut brittle though. Like it is. It's for. Ella. Oh wait, I've got echo. I hear that. Okay, Okay, I got that taken care of. How does this sound? Hey, Jacob. Does that sound okay? The microphone on the. Okay, good. Thank you, Caleb. The microphone on the laptop was turned off or muted or whatever, and then I turned it on, and I didn't know this will do. Good morning, Harry. Oh, congratulations at your new house. That's exciting. Miss Koshi said you're at Integrity now? I'll have to come see you. I have a hydrangea tree that we got from there. It's beautiful. Okay, so as everybody is jumping on, my assumption is, I haven't even opened my emails up today, apologies for the drinking, that you guys have, see if I can take these off and work today, that you guys have seen all of the units that I've posted on Google Classroom. Those are video units that AP Central put out just for this particular situation. But it looks like a great review video for everything. I have not watched them all. I have just, I just found them and then was like, okay, yeah, no, we need to do that. So, those are up there. I'm going to have to put my glasses back on, sorry. So, those are up there for you guys to go through. I know some of you all are still working through the units on AP Central, and that's what you want to do, and that's all you want to do, and that's good. Remember, the name of the game is it's your chicken. You pluck it. So, if you want to watch the videos, take notes over the videos, go through, again, I feel like if this were me and I were approaching this situation, I would go at it from a place of, I would be watching the video with a notebook in my hand, kind of taking notes, because remember, that's dual processing, so that helps move things from short-term learning to long-term learning, which is what you are going to need for this situation. And then if she says something, or it's a she and a he, but if they say something and you don't know what that is, or you feel like we need to go over that more, that's what I would write down and then send it to me. Email it to me, text me, whatever you need to do, and see if I can't put you on the right path. I thought about Luke, because they had a biogeochemical cycles. Sorry, Rosie just like decided to collapse on my arm. She doesn't know I'm going to talk with my hands, does she? So there's a video just for that. So I went through and I tried to break them down into each unit, which again, you don't have a textbook based on the units. So I think some of you guys are wanting like chapter 1 to be unit 1 and chapter 2 to be unit 2, but that's just not the case. AP Environmental is taught, well, my opinion of how it's taught is it's a spiraling concept. So you start out in a very small circle, And then the idea is to get you to the big circle, right? So we introduce ideas in unit 1 or in chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and then we build all the way through the whole experience. So hopefully you've been noticing that I've been bringing back, and building upon that base knowledge that you had. And so that's that spiral. That's that tornado, if you will, look. So some of you are visual learners, some of you are auditory learners, and you don't like to read things. You like to have them displayed for you, and this is your jam then. Today is April the 30th. January, February, March, April. So this is it. The last day of April. And we're about to be in the chute, right? May 1 is tomorrow. May 18th is the due day. Let's see, Max. All the units are shown on the College Board website, I think. Good. Yes. Yeah, you're talking about the pages that I gave you. Yes, they are. And I got these videos, the AP Central, no, the Advanced Kentucky cohort that I'm in is, wait, is tomorrow May 1st? Good morning, Xander. I don't know. Remember, May 1st, we take our mock exam. Is today Thursday? Today's not Thursday. Today's Wednesday. Is today Thursday? Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Welcome to the quarantine, right? It's Thursday. Oh my gosh. I need one of those boards. It's like, today is Thursday. Your nurse is Rosie. Wow. Okay. So, apologies. I've lost a day somewhere. Oh no. Hey, at least I took a bath today. Look, still got your wet hair. I love it. Tomorrow, yes. Okay. So, tomorrow you're going to take your mock exam. And, what'd I do? And, I want you to think timing. I want you to think, big ideas, right? Like the whole name of the game is you're demonstrating understanding. You're not just regurgitating a Googled line from Google. So tomorrow you will take your mock exam. Okay. May 4th, they open false tests to get used to their submissions. Well, you guys are going to get used to their submissions May 1st. Other kids have already taken it that are in they have other teachers that are in the cohort. But for sure, me and Miss Sarah, the lady that you guys met, are going to be grading your alls, and then you'll get it back. For sure, we'll be grading yours, but I think other people in the cohort are going to be grading yours. Also, there's no need for the lockdown app. You can use paper and copy and paste or submit a file. Okay. You can, for sure, you can use paper. And they have a 5-minute window for, what time are we taking? This is like Groundhog Day. What time are we taking what? The mock exam? I think I opened it up for 11 o'clock, didn't I? Are you talking about the mock exam or are you talking about the AP exam? The AP exam is at 3. I feel like I opened it up for 11 o'clock. Like instead of you being here with me at 11, you'll be taking your mock exam at 11. Like I didn't know today was Thursday, so I really don't remember what I did 2 weeks ago. Okay. Yes? Your answer is yes. I gave you red or blue. Yes. Salty or sweet. Water. Cracking me up. The mock exam. Okay, I think 11. If I had to guess that I picked a time, I would say I picked 11. Then again, I can also see me just opening it up tomorrow. So here's what I would do. If you want to take it before 11, go to AP Central, go in your little classroom, and see if it'll let you take it. And if not, sign on at 11, because Skimmy at 11 is kind of the, thank you, Luke. I knew somebody would be on it. Luke, what will I do next year? Luke, will you please come and, like, just be my, you know, like my little assistant? I'll let you sit at the podium like Brady Vance does. So good. We'd be lost without you. So, tomorrow at 11, you take your mock exam. The good thing is it's just, right, we're just greasing the wheels. I know for a lot of you, I'm going to assume almost all of you, this will be your first AP exam, period. And so this is to just shake the jitters out. I don't know what you're doing with... Luke, don't freak out. Okay, it's open for all day LSS. See, that sounds like me. So, time. 25 minutes for the first FRQ, 15 minutes for the second FRQ. It doesn't do you any good if you take this and you take like 6 hours to submit it and you get the best FRQ ever. Like, that's not going to help you. You've got to get that like hand crampy, that sensation, right? Like, that's what you're going for. So, I didn't even look at it. If you're giving me an A in AP Chem, I'll stay forever, period. I don't think I got that kind of power. Yeah. So, I'm not going to tell Miss Koshu she's got to give you an A. She'll make you earn that. So, yeah, tomorrow, again, it's practice. It's all for you. I still haven't, like, I feel like I will give you a grade for completing it, but I'm not going to give you a grade for completing it well, because I don't want to endure you, or I don't want to tempt you into taking more time than you should to get a grade that's not going to matter. This is for all the money. So I want you to get used to that pressure. 25 minutes, 15 minutes. You have 5 minutes to upload in between the 25 and the 15 is the way the real test will be set up. So, if you want to practice taking it on one machine this way and then take another mock exam, I think it was Max that said, do you need an access code for tomorrow? No. I don't think so. I mean, this is the first time I've ever done it, but I don't think so. I think I've just assigned it, and I think they're just there. So, there you go. So, tomorrow you'll be taking your AP exam, mock AP exam, one of your mock AP exams. And again, remember, we're kind of slowing down. We're kind of gearing back. We're closing the door a little bit to give you guys more time to work on that. So, if on May 4th, I think somebody said May 4th, they're practicing other they're posting other mock exams, yeah, we'll check that out too. Like, I'm down for that, for sure. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, look, 16, we're done, baby. I'm going to go ahead and get this going. Climatograms, have we studied those before? I want to say we have, but no. Okay. Well, we got this. Climatograms are, they look terrifying. They're not. You'll be fine. You just have to get your bearings. Every time you look at them, you just have to get your bearings. And you're going to have to, there's going to be data involved. There's not going to be like a math equation involved, is my understanding, but there's going to be data involved. And so a climatogram may be something that they throw up on there to around 20, I believe. Okay, so this picture I found, it's right out of your book, so I was excited to find it. And the idea is, so like a big idea of science is science is lazy. I kind of like that perspective of it. You know, water is always going to roll downhill. Systems are always going to move towards entropy. We always go from, if you are hot, you're going to descend into coldness if left to your own devices, because you're always losing, right? So I just think about losing, downhill, lazy, like all those things kind of fit into my head. And so in keeping with that, science is lazy. Nature is lazy, if you will. Things don't grow where they're not supposed to. Like, trees don't grow in the desert like a big maple tree. It's not going to grow in the desert. Doesn't have what it's supposed to have. There's not going to be the little maple that could. It's going to fight that, drought, and it's going to be okay. Like, no, like it grows where it's meant to grow. Like if the conditions are good and the stage is set, it grows there. And if the conditions aren't good and the stage isn't set, it doesn't grow there. And if it was growing there and the condition changes, guess what? It stops growing there. Like, there are very few things as far as like biome looking things that adapt in the moment. So we're going to talk a little bit about adaptations with this. And this is a heavily biological concept. So most of you have not had biology, and, I don't think you guys talk about adaptations in LSA. Really like true big ecological adaptations. And Kayla, yes and no. It was one of the FRQs for AP board. Okay. So with adaptations, the first thing I want you to know is please don't say something like there was a skunk and it adapted to its environment and it stopped spraying stinky smell and instead it sprayed good smell and smell. Okay, adaptations don't happen like that. That is one of the underlying Darwinism concepts, is that it takes hundreds of thousands to millions of years for an adaptation to kind of complete itself. So that's the good and the bad of that knowledge. Is what we're saying is it's not just like you're going to throw a fish in a cave and it's immediately going to go blind. Like the idea is the blind cave fish went blind over hundreds of thousands of millions of years. So when you're writing, if you are presented with an opportunity to write about adaptations, be sure that you are conveying that you understand that adaptations happen over a long period of time, that you just don't adapt. Like, we socially can adapt. True adaptations, long time. So, combinations of varying average annual precipitation and temperatures, along with global air circulation, ocean currents, lead to the formation of tropical, temperate, and polar desert, grasslands, and forests. So I like that we're kind of hitting on this. Sarah and I were talking, and she was like, I feel like they're going to need to know things about the biomes and the climate and the wind and the current, like all of that. Those are where those big ideas that can really play into each other. So tropical, temperate, and polar are three of your vocab words I picked. And just as long as you understand, I get a little like caught up still in, like, it's a tropical rainforest, but then when they talk about a temperate rainforest, I'm like, what? So we'll get to that, right? Like we'll distinguish between those things. But as long as in your head you've got tropical, temperate, and polar, I want that to just hit a mindset for you of like hot, medium, cold, right? And then when you look at this picture, you can see all of the different biomes that we're looking at. So latitude and longitude. Lats go, west to east. longitude are long, and they go uppy downy, north to south. So we don't, in this chapter, they talk about latitude more than longitude. And the other thing that they focus on that I wasn't expecting is when you're talking about topographically. So you're at the equator, but then how high are you is the other thing. You know, like I think, uh-oh, what's that? What are we doing? Why did it do that? It's cool. Gosh, it just reloaded itself. Okay, it's fine. Welcome to the poop show. Okay. So, geographical coordinate that specifies north-south position. I don't like that. I guess I should change that to west-east. I mean, north-south if you're looking this way, but I don't like that. Okay, so elevation is what I was just about to talk about before, you know, the world stopped. So I picked this picture because you can see the grow line. And that's a real thing. If you go out west and look at the mountains, or, I mean, I guess even in Tennessee, right? Like you're driving and there gets a point to where the air is too thin to support full-blown trees, and so the trees stop growing there. And it's just the grow line. Other things like the temperature change, right? So clearly there's snow up there, and that's an issue too. Scientists have divided the world into several major biomes. They are large terrestrial regions characterized by a certain type of climate and certain combination of dominant plant life. So, biosphere, he's got the whole world. Biosphere, he's got the whole wide world. Biosphere, remember? Okay, so after biosphere was biome. Right, that was the very next one. So these are very large areas. And then for whatever reason, and I don't know, I didn't even know that the 39th parallel was a thing. But evidently in the United States, at the 39th parallel, we have just a vast. So this is going all the way from California to like whatever's on the other side of California at the 39th. I mean, I'm assuming that's California. So because, and I don't know, guys, like I think the United States is very cool for a lot of reasons, but you can really see all of these different biomes just traveling across the 39th parallel. So, there you go. If you look at this map with the major biomes, you can see that we do have quite a robust representation of all of the different biomes. So they typically are going to be covered by one general type of vegetation, but in reality, they're definitely different, right? There are things that make them different. So, you know, that's why we went on farther and we talked about populations and communities and ecosystems, and we can get smaller. So let's talk about this word mosaic again. I feel like we've used the word mosaic several times. One of the things about so a mosaic are small pieces that are pieced together that make a whole picture. So when you learn about the cell and the cell membrane, a lot of time the word mosaic will be used. And so again, it's little pieces that come together to make a whole picture. So each with somewhat different biological communities, but there are similarities found within the biome. The patches occur primarily because of irregular distribution of resources needed by plants and animals. For instance, if you're looking at this, so this picture that I've supplied us with is your biome, and then just to the right of the picture, there's a river. That river is going to cause there to be different organisms, right? Different plants, different animals, even can be different precipitation, right? Like we have the Ohio River. So if you watch the snowfall, a lot of times it'll get to the Ohio and stop. You know, like that Ohio River it serves as a boundary for us for even our climate. So these patches occur because human activities have removed or altered natural vegetation in many areas. So of course that's just your book being like, and then people are bad. Deserts. Okay. So God, doesn't that look so good? I don't eat raspberries, not because I don't like the taste of raspberry. I don't like the seeds. But Granddaddy and grandmother, they're both dead now, God rest them. They're Skimehorn, they're actually Chad's grandparents, but whatever. They would make me homemade raspberry jam, and they would take out the seeds. They would strain it and get all the seeds out. And I cannot tell you how good seedless homemade raspberry jam is. Like think about the raspberry gets the bulk of its mass from its seeds. And because of my Crohn's, those seeds are just no. And so I bet it took 4 times as many raspberries to make seedless raspberry jam. So good. So I'm hungry, as you can see. But the reason why I picked this, any guesses? Because of dessert and desert, right? So please don't be embarrassed if you write desert as dessert. We can say desert and dessert and know the difference, but it's okay. It's okay. We're all family here. It's okay. So in a desert, which I think a lot of you now know, like evidently some of you went to a middle school where one of your middle school teachers were talking about there can be a snowy desert. It's true. There can be a snowy desert. Precipitation is the name of the game with all of these biomes. So it's just how much precipitation is it getting. In your heart of hearts, if you go to Walmart and you say how much precipitation, okay, to go to Walmart and you say what makes a desert or describe a desert, they're not going to be like, ooh, Arctic, they won't say Arctic, ooh, really cold temperatures, right? They're going to say things like sand, hot, death, camel, those kinds of things. And that's also true. So, in a desert, annual precipitation is low and often, but not always, scattered unevenly throughout the year. So, one of the cool things when I was your all's age, I went to what I think was the last Navajo reservation. I don't know. I don't even know if they told us that. Now that I work with teenagers, sometimes teenagers just hear what they want to hear. But I'm telling you, I believe I worked at the last the official last Navajo reservation that we had at that time. And we built a church for them. And it was the first time that I'd ever experienced. And the daytime it being very, very hot. And at nighttime it being, at nighttime it being very cold. When you stress, you have desserts because it's stressed backwards. There you go. What if I can't spell stressed? There you go. Am I frozen? Oh God, and that's a very terrible. All right. I'm going to assume I'm not frozen. I'm going to assume it's my Mac. Am I paused? Am I frozen? I'm frozen. Okay, I'm going to assume you can't hear me either, right? Oh, that's funny. All right, hang on. Let me get to what am I trying to do? Okay. Oh, you can still hear me. Okay, so I don't need to use any weekend words while this is happening. Okay. And see the slides. It's just your face that is frozen. With like a terrible double chin. Like, why would they freeze me there? Like, why can't they freeze me looking all like pretty fly for an old white lady? I don't understand. Take it away. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just keep going and just have my face just frozen like that for forever until it. Why? Okay, I'm just gonna keep going because that's terrible. I'm so sorry. I wish it would. You're welcome. I guess I haven't said weekend words with you guys. Poop. I took a photo of it. Thank you, Caleb. That's great. That's what I want. That to be my look for forever. Oh, wait. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Okay. Who needs friends when you have students, right? Okay. Oh, I'm sweating a little bit. It's fine. Here we go. Okay. All right. So, back to being in the desert. So we wore shorts in the daytime, and then you wore like sweatpants and stuff at night. There is very little vegetation, very little moisture, very clear skies. Pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. So, we're going to talk about tropical deserts first. So, the Sahara and the Namib of Africa. So, this is what everybody in Walmart thinks of, right? So, this is the crazy, you're going to die here, the camels with the big eyelashes. Those are like, that's an adaptation, right? A camel is a great example of animals that have adapted to live in these types of tropical deserts. So the humps don't have water, right? The humps have fat because water would evaporate, duh. And their very long eyelashes help keep the sand out of their eyes. And camels have something with their kidneys. Now it just fell out of my head. I don't think they have double kidneys, but I think they double process urine so they don't pee very much at all. Again, it's all these adaptations that help keep them from losing water, right? So hot and dry, very few plants, hard wind blown surfaces. This is what we see. All right, here we go. Climatogram. Things that I want you to notice. First things first is there's a lot going on here. On the left, as you're looking at it, on the left side, you have temperature. On the right side, you have rainfall. So usually, and I try to pick different climatograms so that you'll get accustomed to looking at the different looks. But the bluish, greenish line is the temperature, and the bar graph at the bottom is the rainfall. So, like if you were to tell me, March, April, May, June. Okay, June. So in June, how much rainfall was there? There's none. And then the temperature was I don't know, 33, probably 33 degrees Celsius. In October, rainfall was like, I don't know, maybe 4, because you know that's 20s, it's by 20s. 4 millimeters, and you have to supply your units. And the temperature was like, I don't know, again, like 33, 34. Let's see. Yes, it is cool weather. Their toes, very concentrated like. Okay, so the temperate desert, so remember, tropical means hot, temperate means like medium, right? Mild, not mild, but like medium. So the Sonoran Desert, I don't know, never been to California, and I definitely haven't been to this desert. Daytime temperatures are high in the summer, but low in the winter. More precipitation than in a tropical desert, and it does have some sparse vegetation. So I picked this picture just for these cactuses. So if you look back at this, no cacti, right? Like there's not enough. Here you got cacti. So just by looking at the representation and remembering that science is lazy, Mother Nature is lazy, you're not going to have a cacti in any desert, that it can't sustain it. It has to have enough water to sustain a cacti. So, now, can you cut open a cactus and drink it? Guys, I have no idea about that. Like, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Like, in my head, a bunch of us rednecks that aren't around cacti see, like, putting a little spigot in there, like, people who will get sap from trees. You know, you can put a little spigot in a sappy tree and you can get some sap from there. Like you put the little spigot in there and then like water just starts dripping out and you don't die. I don't know that that's a real thing. Where I lived in Cali, it was nice. All right, so here we go. We've got another, and notice, right, this is a little more like you looked at it and your butthole puckered a little bit, and that's okay. And this doesn't have the key to go with it. It has other things, though. So, first things first, I want you to look at, we talked about international system of units, right? So, you know, we Americans are basically the only ones that use the English system. So we use Fahrenheit, we use inches, they use Celsius, they being the rest of the world, and they use millimeters. So first things first is you go a little crazy because you see both of those. Don't. But if given the option, report in Celsius and millimeters because that's what scientists use. And then at the bottom, instead of a bar graph, they've just kind of got that wobbly little thing, but you go straight up those lines. So, the other look, I picked a few that have some different looks, is because there is such little precipitation, but the temperatures are so high that they have to have this really, there's a lot of depth there. There's a lot of distance between the temperature and the precipitation. So if we look at April, so what was the temperature in April? In April. Like 10, right? Just follow up. I'm going to say like 10, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, like 10 degrees Celsius. And then precipitation was like, maybe 15 millimeters. Not quite an inch for sure. Like a half inch, maybe. So that's what you do. You've got, I feel like it's just easier if you just kind of look at it like two different graphs, right? And don't beat yourself up if you read it backwards. You know, I still read them backwards sometimes. It's okay. This is so cool. I want to see this, y'all. Years ago, when I started having my students do biome work in biology, I kind of happened across these frozen lakes, and it freezes so fast and so severely that the gas, those are gas bubbles, and they literally just get frozen. Oh, my foot's asleep. Apologies. Okay, here we go. All right. So this is a cold desert in Mongolia. It's called the Gobi Desert. And again, vegetation is going to be sparse, but it's going to be sparse for a different reason. Because it's so daggone cold. So vegetation is sparse, winters are cold, summers can be warm/hot. Precipitation is still so low though. Rosie's back, laying on my arm. Look at this. Wouldn't that be amazing? I definitely would enjoy checking that out. I'm not an astronomer, but I think that that's the Milky Way. Look at that. So this is evidently, like you talk about the oasis in the desert, this is evidently one of them. And this is a real place. So I got on this website that it's talking about traveling to Mongolia. And some of you may have seen villages or pictures of this. And so these were whole entire villages, whole entire cities where they like burrowed in the side of a mountain. And you can still go and visit these places. So, I don't know the Yungang, Garodes, I don't even know. They say it's 1,500 years old, 252 caves with 51,000 statues. It remains a masterpiece of ancient Buddhist art. So I feel like Zal could tell us. I feel like this is what Zal was talking about. I don't know, though. How cool is that? That's there, all carved out of stone. And then not far away, you'll find this monastery that's been suspended 250 feet in the air on the side of a cliff for over 1,500 years. And my understanding is this monastery is still in use. So there's the look. Like when you say you want to get away, this is the way you get away. Like I guess you walk up the mountain. I don't know. Check that out. How cool is that, y'all? Like, all of our houses just got less cool. There it is at night. For over 1,500 years to today, this has been a working monastery, unique in all of China as one of 3 religious traditions of Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. Over 100 monks live here, whom you can visit and learn from. This jaw-dropping place is lit up at night. Isn't that the coolest? I want to go. I want to go. I will probably get in trouble. I still want to go. I think that would be cool. Check this out. Okay, and y'all gotta watch. Of course, we can't watch together, but y'all gotta watch. These are lakes. This is an aerial view of lakes. One of our planet's great unexplained wonders, the mystery lakes of the Gobi. So believe it or not, amidst the sea of gigantic dunes, among the largest in the world, are over 140 lakes, the existence of which has yet to be adequately explained. And here's a satellite photo. So I can't remember which video I gave you guys, but I mean, I went down in the wormhole. But in one of the videos they were talking about, they were like, well, just tell us how it happened. And like finally the guy looks in the camera and he's like, you can't. Like there is no explanation for this. They were one of the I don't know, articles, videos, something, they were in a spaceship and they flew over. I think it was a spaceship, and they flew over and they saw these holes and they were like, what the heck? Like it's a desert and there are daggone lakes. Amazing. And why don't they all evaporate? Like, I got questions, y'all. I want to know who lives in the lakes. I want to know like what vegetation. I want to know like salt content. I want to know everything about these lakes. I want to go to the Gobi Desert. Who knew? All this cool stuff is there. Good, Kaylee. This will be a great trip. We are in the Milky Way. Yes, yes, Harry, we are. But you can see. Yes, Harry. But you can see the swirls of the Milky Way. For sure. Oh, for sure. Kaylee, we can bring Kylie and Emma. You're funny. Okay, so here we go with another climatogram, and this one had a little different look, so I wanted to grab it just so we can see different, different data references. So here we've got a precipitation in inches and our temperature in Celsius. So we have one SI unit and then one English unit. And then they're giving us the average max temperature and the average minimum temperature and the average rainfall. Questions that you may be having is or questions that I had is, okay, if this is an average over how long? Like, is it the average over a year? Is it the average over 2 years? Because with data collection and the scientific method, children, you have got to remember that the bigger the sample size, the more valid the response, the more valid the data. So if you were to sample 10 people, your data is not going to be very valid. If you were to sample 100 people, your data gets more valid. 1,000 people, way more valid, right? So this is an average, but I don't know an average of what. But the more samples, the more times you can do your experiment, and the bigger your sample size can be, the better it is. And if you could do, like if you did a drug trial, ACE so ACE is learning in history about World War II, maybe. I think we're out of World War II and into the Cold War. I don't know. But he was talking and he was very upset because there was a blood shortage in one of the wars, and people did not want to take blood from a black person. They only wanted white people's blood. And he was very upset by that. And I appreciate the upsettedness in that, because we now know like how terrible that is. But on face value, given the time and the degree of ignorance that the people had, there could have been some concern about different, would people of different ethnic backgrounds have different blood that would work differently? Like, they knew enough to know that if you had a different blood type, they knew enough to know that sometimes when you put blood in people, it kills them. So, like we talked a lot about, did they, is that what they were going by? It was definitely ignorant. It was definitely bad. But in science, you're taking some swings sometimes. So if you were able to get different big samples with different ethnicities and to see how that works, that could be cool. Because there are certain things that do work differently for certain groups of people. There are groups of people that are resistant to AIDS. There are groups of people that don't suffer from cancer as badly. There are blood types that are suffering worse from COVID-19 than others. I haven't heard what B-neg is doing, because, like all four of us are like, I don't know, we don't got it. So there's not much out there about B and AB, but it's like 50% of the population is A and 50% of the population is O, and the rest of us are just mistakes. So that's some interesting read. So the way that you can differentiate between your sample sizes may help you. So, moving on, as we look at this, I'm assuming that you guys can read it, and then you would answer your questions accordingly to whether they wanted max or minimum rainfall. So the last thing that we need to talk about is how fragile deserts are, and I never thought about this, like never in a million years. What's the temperature in December? So your temperature, your max temperature, I would say that your temperature would be, your max would be -20, and your minimum would be -30. That's how I would read it. So I was unaware that deserts were fragile. Now, after I read about this, I was like, oh no, that kind of makes sense. So the things that make us resistant, the things that make us survive is biodiversity, right? Like we've talked and talked and talked about biodiversity. Like why couldn't my face freeze on that? Like that would have been a hot picture. The biodiversity is not there in the desert, right? They don't have enough precipitation to support intense biodiversity. So they experience slow plant growth, low species biodiversity, slow nutrient cycling due to a lack of bacterial activity in the soils. Now that's cool, right? So it's too hot and too dry for the bacteria. When you think about a bacterial cesspool, when you think about like a bacterial's happy place, warm, moist, dark environments. This is kind of the opposite of that. So because we don't have the bacteria that we have in other biomes breaking things down and moving things along through the nutrient cycles, you know, you're going to get this. Very little water. That's the name of the game. So they are very fragile. And because of that, the things that we do to them, the way that we disturb the deserts, takes way longer for us to get through. Their soils take from decades to centuries to recover from disturbances, such as the growing problem of off-road vehicle travel. Think about like the first people that rode through the deserts in that Jeep. I mean, those sands had not been exposed to gas emissions, oil droplets. I mean, you are really seriously exposing that to things that may have never experienced before. This also destroys habitat for a variety of animals that live underground. And I just, again, this is kind of I don't know how much data there is to support this, but as I was reading this, I was thinking about drilling for oil, fracking, those kinds of things, like your book's kind of leading you down that path to support that claim. The lack of vegetation, especially in tropical and polar deserts, also makes them vulnerable to heavy erosion from sandstorms. I found this little clip, and I've never seen anything like this, but I feel that sandstorms a big thing. So, our big takeaways: deserts can be cold. Deserts are very fragile. Deserts have low biodiversity, which never makes them good, low water, right? So they don't have what it takes to rebound from the things that your grasslands and your rainforest are going to rebound from. So that's it. That's deserts for the day. Tomorrow you take your test. I would take my test at 11. Instead of 11 with Skimmy, I would, no, let's see. I don't know if that was her grunting or not. I was like, can you hear her grunting? Take it at 11, and that's all you have to do for me is take your mock exam. Now, I think me and Sarah are going to grade them for sure. The AP, the Advanced Kentucky people are going to grade them. You're going to get them back. If you don't take it, you're not going to get it back. I don't know what else to say. I haven't made a decision about like how much of a grade I want to give you for doing this. I want to give you something. So we'll see. Like I've got to balance my decisions between like, you know, how much of this do I have to give to grading them, recording them, blah, 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 blah. So we'll see. It's going to be worth its weight in gold, though. The more times that you can take a swing at this before you actually take it, it's going to help. All right. Is there much more sand, or is it just more snow? So snow. Snow, snow, snow. Yep. It's like dry dirt covered in light snow that can't really evaporate until summertime. And yes, like snow, snow, snow. And that's what makes it the desert is the snow doesn't ever really go away. So like whatever snow falls, it just stays there. So we're going to talk about the tundra. We're going to get into the tundra where it actually gets like, I don't know, 3 weeks of snow. I mean, like 8 weeks of summer, can be up to 8 weeks of summer, and everything blooms in those 8 weeks and some cool stuff. So we're going to get there. Anything else? I'm just kind of biding time. So if you have any problems with your test, I also uploaded for you guys on your Google Classroom tips for taking your AP exam, things that you're going to need. Again, we're like 18 days out now, so I'm just trying to make it to where there's not all 75 of us scrambling at the same time. So we'll see. I think you're good. All right. Well, family, I love you. Chloe, I didn't see you on today. I hope your wrist is doing better. Haven't checked my email for the day, so there's that. There it is. All right. So with that, it's almost 12 o'clock straight up. Good job, children. I love you, family. Have a great afternoon.